Welcome back to A Book for My Sister podcast, where we are just two sisters hanging out and talking about books. My name's Cassie.
And my name's Amelia.
We have a lot of book thoughts, so thanks for joining us today, and we hope you follow along our reading journey by subscribing to our podcast and leaving us some comments on what you're reading right now. Amelia, what are you drinking today to help you through this episode?
Today I have a half-calf, shaken oatmeal. What the hell am I trying to say? Shaken brown sugar.
I heard chicken.
No, shaken.
Chicken?
No. I've got some half-calf chicken over here. No, I have a half-calf oat milk brown sugar shaken espresso.
Wow,
Jesus.
That sounds delightful.
That's really hard to say.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I don't order that in coffee shops anymore because that's really hard to say.
Yeah.
But I made it in my home, and it's really easy to make, you guys. If you don't go to Starbucks for your coffee needs, you can just make this at home. Just brew some coffee over some brown sugar and vanilla, a little bit of cinnamon. You could put a little bit of salt in there if you wanted. And just pour the milk in there. But before you pour the milk, brew your coffee in a cup with a lid, like a jar or something, and then shake it up with some ice. It'll get kind of frothy. And then you put your milk in there. And you've got exactly what you get at Starbucks, except you didn't have to go anywhere. You didn't have to support a terrible corporation. So just make it at home.
Wow.
Wow. But I'm really excited, actually, because me and Thomas are going to go to this new Arabic coffee shop later today.
Ooh.
And you, I think, would freak out. They have a vanilla fig syrup.
Oh, I'm freaking out.
Just imagine a vanilla fig matcha right now.
Oh my god, a matcha. I didn't even think about that. That sounds so good.
Yeah, they have matcha, and apparently it's really good. And I think I'm gonna they have a vanilla date.
Oh my
latte.
God.
I know.
I need that injected into these veins.
I know. Doesn't that sound so
That sounds
good?
insane.
I know. I'm really excited. So I considered not making like a sweeter coffee this morning, but then I was like, I'm going to make myself a nice coffee anyway. So that is what I have with me right now. Cassie, what are you drinking right now?
Well, I am also going to get coffee later, and I'm not a 2-coffee girl, so I'm drinking water. And also I had my 90-minute yoga, so I'm very dehydrated, so I need to drink my water.
You drink some water then.
Yeah.
You need one of your Element sparkling waters.
Oh, yeah. I forgot I had those. I could have grabbed one.
That's what you need.
Oh, but I don't have any in the fridge. I don't have any in the fridge. So I have to go put one in there, and I'm not doing that.
That's fair. What are you going to get at the coffee shop later?
Probably just a matcha.
Do you get anything? Do you get like a little vanilla?
Oh, yeah. I'll get a flavor, but I'll see what I'm feeling when I get there.
Well, that sounds delightful.
Absolutely delightful.
Absolutely. Oh, we got a little Australian happening.
I do that all the time. I'll say, absolutely not. It's good stuff.
What do you sound like? You sound like a character?
But with partners.
What is that?
That's from,
that's from
that show.
Series of Unfortunate Events.
But with partners.
With partners.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, guys, today is our 5th Science Fiction Friday episode, so come on in. We are concluding, for now, our very special Into the Crichton-verse series with the second of the Jurassic Park books, The Lost World. Whoa.
Wow.
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 Oh, my gosh. So, you might be wondering why this book exists if you're a Crichton head like us, because famously, Michael Crichton does not write sequels to any of his books. So, why the hell does this exist? Well, Steven Spielberg himself requested of our man Michael for him to write a second book, because he was like, I need some guidance about what the second movie should be about.
And he ignored it completely.
We'll talk more about it after we go through the book, but basically Michael Crichton wrote this entire book. It's good, and Steven Spielberg said thank you so much for the vibes.
And then he put it in the shredder.
Yeah, I'm going to give this to my local library, and I'm not going to think about it anymore. So, well, he didn't factually, he didn't actually do that, I'm sure. Well, but he didn't. He basically did not read the book, is what it appears to be the case. Yes. Michael Crichton, and you may also be wondering, the main character of this book is, in fact, Ian Malcolm, who did die at the end of Jurassic World, the book. Not the... God, Jurassic Park. God damn it. They've ruined my
idiot!
At the end of the book Jurassic Park, Ian Malcolm is declared dead. But he is the main character in this book. And so on Michael Crichton's website, where his official estate website or whatever, it has a quote about why Malcolm is back. So I'm gonna read this quote to you guys from his website. The title, The Lost World, was, of course, a reference to Arthur Conan Doyle, whose 1912 novel told of explorers visiting a remote plateau to confront dinosaurs. Michael Crichton borrowed another trick from Conan Doyle's sequels. He brought a character back to life. Conan Doyle resuscitated Sherlock Holmes, even though he fell to his death at the Reichenbach Falls. Michael brought back Ian Malcolm, a favorite of readers and filmgoers. And then Michael Crichton basically was like, well, Malcolm is sort of our, commentator on why he thinks things are going to go bad, and kind of, I guess, narrating, audience thoughts and being like, oh, this is bad. So he was like, I need him to come back because he's my audience guy. And so he brought him back because he was like, well, Sherlock Holmes was supposed to be dead, and he's not. So Ian Malcolm is also not dead.
All right.
So great. Thank you so much, Michael, for that. So just a little fact behind why this book even remotely exists. This book opens with an introduction, as a lot of Michael Crichton books do.
As many books do.
But Michael Crichton books especially open with introductions. He's got a prologue, an introduction, and then you got chapter 1.
Yeah.
So in the introduction, we get a speech from Ian Malcolm, who's not dead, about evolution. He's speeching to a crowd of students in the school that he teaches at in Berkeley or something. So he hypothesizes that extinction occurs because of a species' behavior and not because of changes in their adaptation to their physical environment. So he's attributing extinction to changing behavior instead of the big, what the hell is it called when the meteor landed? The meteor landing. I'm not sure. And killed all the dinosaurs. He's saying that the dinosaurs' behavior changed or something, and that's why they died, instead of
I feel like that's debatable, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a controversial guy. So Malcolm is obviously alive and teaching. We learned that he was reported dead in several newscasts, and so it was a rumor that he had died, and he was just injured. And so, even the people that he was with thought he was dead. But they were just misinformed.
They should probably let them know.
They were misinformed. So he does walk with a cane now because of his injury. But other than that, he's physically fine. So he does a lecture about self-organizing behaviors and more evolution stuff that I'm not going to get into because it's very sciencey and I don't care to do that. But we get all of that in the introduction. We get Michael Crichton's classic several pages of science. So his speech is interrupted by some notorious, famous paleontologist who is known for being really annoying and rich. And his name is Richard Levine. And he gets up there and he's like, well, what if we could test your evolution hypothesis on dinosaurs? And he gets up in front of everybody in this auditorium and is like, what if we could test this on dinosaurs? And Malcolm is like, okay. He's like, well, that's not possible, so shut up. And then Levine is like, well, what if it was possible? What if there was an isolated area where dinosaurs could exist? And Malcolm is like, do you mean a lost world? Which I'm like, okay, are we calling it that? I guess so. So then, after the his little speech, Malcolm meets up with Sarah Harding, who is a biologist. She's in town for a little bit. She's the ultimate hot and helpful final boss queen of Michael Crichton books. So she's visiting Malcolm for just like a day or so, and then she's returning to her research in Nairobi the next day, where she studies lions and hyenas. She was on sabbatical when Malcolm was recovering from his surgery, like whenever that was, a year or two ago. And she took care of him. And they almost ended up dating, but then they didn't because Malcolm's like, I guess, doesn't want to date people. I don't know. That's like his persona. And now they're friends. And there is like a really big age gap of like 20 years between them, which just kind of seems to be like the way that these books specifically are written, is just like big age gaps between the women and the men in the book. So she's like, 26 or whatever. And so she and Malcolm are talking about Levine, and we find out that basically he's the heir to the American Girl doll fortune. So he has a lot of money.
That's so sick.
Isn't that just like a strange?
If I was the heir to the American Girl doll collection, well, I wouldn't have done the revamp that they just did. It was pitiful, honestly.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Oh my God, they like modernized the way they look.
Wait, really?
Oh, you have to look it up. It looks terrible. It looked terrible.
Mm-hmm. Are they skinnier or something? Wait,
yeah, they're skinnier.
Why
are these dolls on Ozempic?
That's what I was going to say. Ozempic American Girl dolls. Why are they skinnier? Oh my God, what the heck? But what else did they change about them? They look otherwise the same. Wait, their eyes are their eyes different? Ew, their eyes are weird.
Yeah, I didn't take too close of a look.
Oh, I see. Modern era Samantha doll. They look like little anime dolls.
Yeah, and it's like, okay.
Oh boy. Well, anyway, Levine is the heir to that. So.
Okay, well, good for him.
Good for him.
All right. So then Levine interrupts the two of them and tries to sway Malcolm by saying, dinos have been spotted in Costa Rica. Malcolm says, there ain't no way. You're wrong. Doth protest too much.
He's like, no, absolutely not. It's like, okay.
It's like, okay. All right. But then Levine proposes that they do an expedition down to the island, and he'll pay for it, obviously, because he's got that American Girl doll riches. And Malcolm can prove his evolution and behavior thesis. Malcolm says no. Well, okay, whatever, we'll talk about it later. Malcolm says no. Levine is like, didn't you get hurt looking for dinos in the first place? Malcolm says no. Doth is protesting quite a lot. So the three of them get lunch together, where Levine tries to get more information out of Malcolm, who denies everything and says he's never met Hammond or Grant. Liar. During this conversation, Sarah's confused because he didn't tell her anything about the dinosaurs. She doesn't really know how he injured himself. Oh, okay, that seems like something I would have asked about, but okay. But she plays it off because she's like, well, it's none of my business. It is if you helped nurse him back to health.
It's very bizarre.
Whatever. Okay. Malcolm promises Levine that if any dinos show up in Costa Rica, he'll go on the expedition.
That's pretty confident for someone who's like, I won't do it. And then he's like, but
yeah.
if you find any
like,
dinosaurs, then I'll go.
But like,
it's
okay.
like, well, don't you kind of figure that there are still some dinosaurs out there? Because that was your whole deal from the first book. Don't you think that might actually be a real possibility that you'll have to go do that? But whatever.
Yeah. I guess he just truly doesn't believe him.
I guess.
18 months later, Levine and his colleague, Gutierrez, they're flying to an island off of Costa Rica to investigate a possible dino corpse on a remote beach. But as they land, a strange government plane shows up trying to get rid of the corpse. Levine is not allowed to take any pictures, but he can tell it's a dino. Then the government lights the corpse on fire, and Gutierrez says that whenever these aberrant forms show up, the government comes and gets rid of them to prevent diseases. We learn that nothing was found on the Jurassic Park island after InGen left, probably because they killed them all. Then we see Dodson. Remember him? I remember him. And that he has hired a scientist to follow Levine around, a guy named Ed James. We find out that Levine was supposed to leave the island and boarded his flight, but did not depart. Strange, and also, how is that possible? So basically, he's a stowaway on the island. Malcolm is now trying to practice walking without his cane because he thinks he wants to go on an expedition. My God. He receives a package from Levine of a cut piece from the dino skin. Ooh. Levine is back investigating on an island, this time with a local guide. They're in the jungle, walking along the riverbed. They see some dino footprints, and then they see a real tiny dino. But then they hear a huge dino. And Levine realizes too late that predators hunt by streams. Are you stupid? Everyone knows that.
We learned that in the first book. Come on, man. He's also supposed to be like a scientist.
Yeah, he's a paleontologist. You should know that predators hunt by streams.
In this whole book, he's doing dumb things like that. Anyway.
Well, whatever. And then but the guide is then snatched up by the dino, and Levine runs for his life. He deserves it. Back in California, 2 kids are in class at a middle school, and a pre-recorded lesson from Levine is playing. He got in trouble for something, and his community service was teaching a class at a middle school. Okay. That's crazy. Yeah, that is weird. The kids, Kelly, 13, and Arby, 11, are working for Levine. Where are the child labor laws, you ask? We don't know. While he's teaching. They're running little errands for him and stuff.
They're not getting paid either.
They're not getting paid. They're not getting class credit. They're just running errands for this old man. The pre-recorded video played because he is not back from his trip, even though he was supposed to be, so the 2 are worried about him. They go to his office to see if he's there. While they're walking, they pass a car with a man in it, Ed James the spy. The kids recognize him as the one who seems to be following Levine, which is why he has them running his errands. Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's like paranoid. So when he's not at his office, the kids go to a man called Dr. Thorne's office, and he works with Levine. He outfits vehicles with scientific equipment for like scientific expeditions and things, and he's been working on some trailers for Levine. So Thorne says that Levine went on a science trip somewhere and seems to have disappeared. So he tries to call him on this like fancy phone that he made. And Levine answers, but he's like breaking up, and they hear him say that he's surrounded by something and he's injured, and he's like freaking out. And so Thorne is like, we've got to drop everything and go get him, even though we don't know where he is, and he has made this weird choice. So Thorne and the kids then go to Levine's apartment.
Gotta bring the kids.
It's after school at this point. I don't know where.
Don't let those kids go home.
I'm not sure. So they go to Levine's apartment where dinner has been laid out already by his private chef with a note saying welcome back because Levine was supposed to return today, but Levine is not home. Also, for some reason, Levine's bed is a futon, even though he's a millionaire, which I'm confused by. So they kind of walk around his apartment and they see his computer, and Arby's like, I'm a hacker. So he is able to hack into Levine's computer. And
what the heck? So many hackers.
And he sees that Levine has recovered InGen files about something called Site B. And then we flash to Malcolm briefly, who has been at the local zoo talking to his friend about identifying the dino flesh.
His friend is a monkey.
His friend is a woman.
That'd be funny if he was just talking to a monkey. He was at the zoo talking to his friend.
The monkey.
It's a monkey.
It's going to help him identify this flesh. So she says that it must be an unidentified type of lizard. And then she found an ID, like tracking tag in the skin, indicating that the animal was tracked from birth. But there's some chemical in its blood that shows that it was also a very stressed out animal. And so she is like, what kind of animal? What kind of animal is in captivity, but is also like extremely stressed out? Like, who is tracking an animal in captivity who is like a stressed out animal? So she's like, Malcolm, what's going on? And he's like, I'll tell you in 2 weeks, which I'm like, 2 weeks? Like, what do you think is going to happen in the next 2 weeks? But he says 2 weeks. And then Malcolm goes back to his office where his receptionist tells him that Chaos Quarterly, which is like a fun math magazine, I guess, was there taking photos of his office for the other nerds that read their magazine. And
Okay.
and he was like, what do you mean? I didn't know people were going to come take pictures of my office. And he immediately, he's like, that's suspicious. And he knows that there was someone there under the cover of being magazine people. And so he goes into his office and he realizes that he had marked all of the locations of the dino sightings on a map of Costa Rica in his office. And he hopes that the people who took the photos of it don't figure that out.
They're nerds. Of course they'll figure it out.
They came into your office for that. I'm sure they'll see your map with Costa Rica on it with pins and only Costa Rica. I'm sure they'll figure that out. So he calls Levine's house and Thorne answers and he says, you better come look at this. So Malcolm goes over there. Arby has found a list of locations that correspond with a map Levine has of 5 Costa Rican islands. And from the location list, Malcolm is able to identify the island based on those, locations or whatever. So he thinks that Levine is at an island called Isla Sorna. So, different one than the first one. Of course, Dodgson's guy, Ed, has bugged Levine's apartment, so he knows everything that's going on. So then the group, including the children, go back to Thorne's office. It's like 9 p.m. or something. And they're like, let's go rescue Levine now. And the kids are like, yeah, let's go. And they're like, no, you guys can't come. You're children. You gotta leave. They tell the children that they have to leave. It's like 9 or 10 p.m. It's dark out. And no one is like, I'll drive you home. Or I'll call you a cab or whatever.
Walk.
They're like, go home now. And then they leave the kids, and then nobody checks on them to see, I guess, if they're home. So the kids are told to leave, and the kids are upset because Arby's parents are working, and Kelly's mom works, but she's got a weird, creepy boyfriend at the house. And it's spring break. It's like the week of spring break. And Arby's like, I'm just going to be at home by myself, and my parents are working. And Kelly's like, well, and I have to be at home with my mom's boyfriend. But I'm like, if y'all are friends, why can't Kelly go over to Arby's house? And they can, like, hang out and talk about science. Oh, my God, you could just have a party. You could just, like, be friends over spring break. Like, I'm confused. And then, so the kids are upset, and they don't want to go home. And then Thorne talks about needing to get a hold of Sarah Harding, so she can get to the island because she knew Levine, I guess. And Kelly's like, Sarah Harding? I'm obsessed with Sarah Harding. And so, and they're like, oh, Kelly, you're still here? Goodbye. So, that's happening. So Thorne calls Harding and he's like, listen, Levine is missing. He's in danger. This is where we're going to be. You can come or not. And she's like, well, how the hell am I supposed to get there? I'm in Nairobi. Like, it's going to take me 2 days to get there. And he's like, well, like I said, you can come or not. So.
Figure it out.
You figure it out. And then we see Dodgson meeting with the owner of Biosin or whatever this other company is where he works, which was like the InGen competitor, to try and convince the owner to let him go to Costa Rica and, quote, acquire the InGen technology. Apparently, Biosin exploits people and animals for biotech science, and Dodgson essentially wants to, like, use dinosaurs for animal testing. He's like, I can go get you some dinosaurs for animal testing. And the owner's like, yeah, that sounds great. Go to the island.
Thorne has arrived in Costa Rica with the trailers and convinces a helicopter to airlift him and the trailers to Isla Sorna. He, Malcolm, and Thorne's assistant named Eddie all land on the island, and they start to look for Levine. Thorne gives them all dart guns filled with cone shell poison, which is the most powerful neurotoxin in the world. I remember we watched a Animal Planet episode about.
I wasn't sure if you were going to remember that.
I really thought that was going to be a bigger problem in my life.
I did, and also box jellyfish.
Box jellyfish. Thought those were going to be a problem
because it was like an Australian scary animal.
Yeah.
Or ocean animal special. Yeah. And they had the cone shells and the box jellyfish and probably like some type of shark. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, for sure.
I'm never going in the ocean ever again, even though that is the Pacific Ocean.
Absolutely not.
And we do not live near the Pacific Ocean.
We do not. The three amigos are driving around and some compies show up along with some other dinos. And Eddie's like, holy shit, this is real. Yeah, bro.
I guess nobody told them they were going to go see dinosaurs.
We were just lying. Then they find a factory-like building. And Eddie looks at the tracker to see Levine's tracking thing is pinging from inside the building. So they go in. Back in the trailer, the kids have stowed away and are coming out of their hiding spots. We get some Arby background about how he doesn't fit in at school. Yeah, 'cause you're a nerd. I'm kidding. And if you can believe it, Crichton actually addresses race. Only for 2 seconds, but really?
Oh, yeah. Arby,
the kids fall
Arby is
asleep.
black, and he's like, people bully me for being black. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, I thought it was because he was a nerd.
No. Well, I think it's partially because he
It's
and
probably
Kelly
both.
both get bullied for being nerds, but he also gets bullied for being black, and she gets bullied for being a girl. So it's just like horrible children.
Well, they have each other, and they're good nerd friends.
Yeah.
The kids fall asleep after eating like a quarter of the food supply. Fucking pigs, okay. The three amigos are walking through the factory, and Malcolm speculates that this was where InGen really produced dinosaurs, and they tested them here and then recreated them on Isla Nublar. Oh my God, my cat is attacking my window. She just threw herself at it. That is crazy.
She thinks that she sees a dinosaur outside.
No, like, it's like, I was like, oh, is there a bug? There's literally nothing, so I don't know what she's seeing. Okay. They all wonder why the dinos on Isla Sorna weren't destroyed, since it seems like this island should have also been destroyed with Isla Nublar. They discover that InGen was having trouble keeping the animals alive due to an unknown illness, so they tagged and released the animals to try and prevent the disease from spreading in the lab. Then back to Arby. He hacks into the computer of the trailer. And
Again.
Easy. And can see the security cameras, all the security cameras on the island. Wow.
They all pop up on the computer.
That's so sick. He radios the trio to let them know a dino is coming, and they need to hide. It's a T-Rex. They manage to hide under a car, and the T-Rex marks the car, like, with his piss.
Yeah, the T-Rex, sits on the car and, I don't know, pisses on the car or something.
They be doing
It's
that?
really nasty.
That is nasty. Yeah, and then Arby's like, hey, I can see Levine riding a motorcycle away from the factory. He's following the T-Rex. So Thorne follows him and ends up at the T-Rex nest with Levine. Malcolm and Eddie go back to the trailer base. Levine has the absolute audacity to be annoyed that they're there because he's like, I didn't ask for your help. I didn't ask you to come, and I'm in the middle of something. Okay? You're late. We thought you were dead.
Can you even imagine? He was like, they're like, well, we called you and you were screaming for help. And he's like, I don't remember.
I'm fine. That was just I had a night terror. It's fine.
It was just a moment that I had, and now it went away.
I had a moment of weakness. I'm chilling now. Meanwhile, Dodge. I have a hard time saying his name. Dodgson. His associate Battleton and his assistant King are waiting for a boat ride from Costa Rica to Isla Sorna. Sarah Harding arrives to Costa Rica and is also looking for a ride to Sorna, so she catches the boat with them. Dodson lies to her and tells her that he knows Malcolm and Levine, and he's going there to help them too. And then he's like, so are they expecting you? And she's like, nope, I'm surprised. Which, why would you say that to this random ass man? I'd be like, yep, they know I'm coming. And
they know my ETA to the minute.
Yeah, they know, yeah. So, of course, Dodgson does the only logical thing. He pushes her off the boat.
He's like, I'm going to kill you.
Crazy. But at the same time, Malcolm is literally like, wonder when Sarah's going to get here. So, they were expecting her, but, they didn't know if she was coming for sure. So, we don't really get why she said that she wasn't.
Yeah, well, because it's they did invite you. It's not like they were, in passing, by the way, we're going to go here. And she was like, oh, I'm going to go too. They did invite you. So it's not,
You're not
they would be pretty horrible if they had invited you.
Man.
Yeah, and they weren't like, oh, I wonder if she's going to come or what. Yeah. It's very bizarre. So Sarah is trying to get out of the water, but the waves are choppy, and she ends up washing into the cave where the boat is disembarking. So she's able to crawl ashore where she's greeted by a dinosaur, and she faints because she's seeing a dinosaur.
Reaction.
So then King, who's Dodgson's assistant, and he's a very nervous man, which I would be too if I was Dodgson's assistant, honestly. But he is freaking out because he doesn't want to get charged with murder. He's like, my future. My boss just killed this lady. What if I get in trouble? He's not like, oh, it's that poor woman. He's like, I don't want to get in trouble for this.
I don't want to get in trouble.
And so they get off the boat and they kind of walk away. And then Sarah wakes up to a dinosaur licking her face. So she gets up and she's like, where are the people that I'm here to see? And so she's, walking along the river. Everyone's walking along this damn river. And luckily, because Arby was able to hack into the security cameras, he sees her walking along the river. And so they're like, oh, we're going to go get her. So, problem solved. Dodgson and his cronies are going to different dinosaur nests and stealing eggs so that they can bring them back for animal testing. Like, hatch them and test, I don't know, medicine on them. I don't know. So we see them doing that and just generally being evil. So, Sarah
what I'm imagining?
What?
I'm imagining, in the Bee Movie, those two beekeepers that are just so evil, and they're like scraping the honey out, and they're like, yeah, that's what these guys are doing.
Those stupid bees.
Yeah, imagine being as stupid as a bee. We're gonna smoke them. That's what I imagine these guys are doing.
That was funny.
So they're just going around like kicking eggs.
These dumb dinosaurs living
like
peacefully
flicking
on this island with no one's bothering
throwing
them.
rocks at the stegosauruses.
Oh my god,
that's what
probably
they're doing.
Exactly what they were doing. And so Sarah gets to the trailer, and Kelly's in there like waiting, like with her. And Sarah's showering, and Kelly's like freaking out because she's like, "Oh my god, what am I supposed to say to Sarah? She's like my hero. Like, how am I gonna have a conversation with her?" And so they have a conversation about how girls can be smart and good at math. Because Kelly's like, oh, well, people say that boys aren't going to like me if I'm smart. And Sarah's like, well, that's dumb. Why don't you just be smart? Because people actually like smart girls. And Kelly's like, I don't know about that. And then Sarah gets like a little bit offended. And I'm like,
okay, lady.
Sarah, you're like 30. Like, Kelly's 13 and she's getting bullied at school. Like, can you just have a little bit more understanding? Like, explain to her what it is that you're saying, for sure. But also, don't get so offended because she is a child and she's being bullied. So let's just have a little compassion for Kelly, okay? So then the group realizes that Dodgson is on the island. And so they're like, well, we got to stop him. But then, because they're stealing, they start to steal T-Rex eggs. And the parents come back. And they're like, maybe we don't have to do anything. We can see these guys are stealing T-Rex eggs. So they're in the T-Rex nest. Basilton gets eaten by a T-Rex. Too bad for you. And Dodgson and King manage to escape to the Jeep and drive away and hide. But then the dinosaurs surround them. And then they black out. So, that's all they do. But additionally, in all of the chaos that ensued when they were in their nest, King stepped on a baby T-Rex leg and hurt it. I didn't know all you had to do to injure a T-Rex was to step on its leg. But
what's a baby?
Yeah, but it's still a T-Rex. I don't know. I guess I don't know how
still
strong T-Rexes were. But in all the chaos, he stepped on a baby leg and hurt it. And then
okay.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay. So rude.
So, our group goes and checks out the scene, and Eddie is like, we should take the baby with us. And Sarah's like, no, that's an animal. You should just shoot it, put it out of its misery. It lives in the wild. It's just going to die.
Why would we listen to the zoologist? Listen to Eddie.
Why would we listen to the woman who studies predators for a living and knows about, animals? Why would we do that?
Eddie says, nah, I know what I'm doing.
Eddie's like, I'm going to take this to the trailer and we're going to help it. And Sarah's like, okay.
Whatever, man.
Whatever you say, Eddie. So, who even are you? You built a telephone?
Yeah, you're
a
tech guy. Get out of here.
A dinosaur? Literally. So they take it to the trailer, and Sarah starts to do surgery on the baby dinosaur, and we learn that her father was an ornithologist, a bird vet. Now, is that just being interested in birds? Did I even use that word correctly?
No, ornithology is you study birds.
Okay, well, he's a bird vet. Okay, he's a bird vet at a zoo, or he was. I guess, I don't know if he's dead or retired or whatever. But he was a bird vet at a zoo. So she now, of course, knows everything about birds, just like I know everything about helicopters. Because I know exactly what our dad does for work, and I could do it too if confronted with the necessity
do it. I do truly think that if I was in a disaster situation and I had to land a helicopter, I do think I could. So
I would not be able to.
Maybe I 100% think I could. Maybe that's just me.
Just through osmosis, you've learned how to do that.
I just think I can. I feel like it's probably not that hard.
For sure.
Yeah.
So because her dad was a vet for birds, she knows how to be a vet for birds also. So she gives it a morphine shot for bird-like things because, dinosaurs were birds. And so they give the animal some morphine, and she starts to set the bone back because it's broken. So then Levine radios Thorn because Levine is out in he's out in a lookout basically because he refused to come back to the trailer. So he's in the woods, in this tall one of those, what are they called? It's a lookout basically, that's blends in with the surroundings. Yeah, I don't know.
A perch.
So Levine is on the lookout. He radios Thorn, and he's like, you should probably bring the kids to the lookout because the baby dinosaur might attract the parents to the trailer, and I don't think we really want that. So Thorn is like, okay, yeah. So Thorn and Eddie and the children go to the lookout to stay away from the trailer. Then we see King wakes up, and he notices that Dodgson has left the car. Thanks, boss. So he's like, okay, well, I guess I'm in the car still, so I'll just drive down to shore and wait for morning because there's a helicopter that's supposed to arrive and pick them all up. But while he's driving, the car gets attacked by dinosaurs, and he's like, I guess I'm going to walk. I don't think they're deadly dinosaurs. I think he's just okay, well, now I can't drive the car.
Is the Jeep destroyed?
No, I think that
so he's just dumb as fuck?
He's just I guess I gotta get out of this car.
All right, dude.
So,
fair enough.
He's I guess I'm on foot now. So, he starts to walk, to shore, but then he's killed by raptors because, of course, he is. So, King is also dead now. And then Dodgson wakes up in the jungle, passed out, and he sees that compies are biting him and eating, pieces off of his wounds, which is nasty.
Gross.
And then he goes to hide in a shed, and he falls back to sleep. He's a sleepy boy. So Malcolm and Sarah are fixing the dino leg. They're, setting it with, resin or something. And so the kids have left. Thorn and Eddie have left. Malcolm pulls up old records on the computer for the island, and they discover that the dinosaurs basically had scrapie, which is mad cow disease. It's when cannibals eat people, when they eat the brains of a person and they get kuru.
Yeah, okay, I thought you couldn't remember the name of it. I was like, oh, what's the name of it? But then kuru. You said it. Yeah, kuru.
So they basically had scrapie, but scrapie is that's what lambs and sheep get.
That's crazy.
So the dinosaurs basically had scrapie, and that's the illness that was going around they were trying to prevent. And then they're reading about these old records, and then the T-Rex parents arrive, and they start pushing the trailer and knocking it all over the place. So Sarah tries to throw the baby out the door to be no, your baby's here. Take it. And so one of the T-Rexes nuzzles it, and they're are you alive? But they drugged the baby pretty hard because they didn't know how much morphine. I mean, how much morphine do you give a dinosaur? Who knows? So she's trying to tell them that the baby's alive, but they're dinosaurs.
They don't speak English.
They don't speak English. So the T-Rexes grab the baby and they walk it over to a clearing in the front of the jungle, and then the baby starts to move. They see it move its little legs, and so they're oh, thank God. So then the T-Rexes put the baby up in a tree, and they run back at the trailer. They're we're not actually done here because they're vengeful.
Yeah. Yeah.
they need revenge. So then the dinosaurs roll the trailer over and they push it towards the cliff because apparently they when they parked the trailers, they thought that it would be fun to park within a mile of a cliff, I guess.
It's such a beautiful view.
Yeah. While we're here, we might as well see what it has to offer. So then the power in the trailers go out. Because the trailers are connected. So there's like two separate... Oops, I hit my microphone. There's two separate trailers, and then they're like connected, like a train car or something. So imagine that. So there's two trailers. There's a front and a back trailer. And so the power in both the trailers go out, and they're in the back trailer. Not good. They're closest to the cliff. So they begin to fall inside the trailer because the dinosaurs are pushing it off the cliff. So, they're falling down vertically down this trailer. So Sarah gets glass stuck in her head, and Malcolm essentially gets folded in half over a table. He, is falling straight. Imagine falling straight down and then being folded over a table.
Hits your stomach or your back?
Yeah. No,
Which one?
His stomach. Stomach.
I'd probably
That would
throw up.
hurt.
Yeah, it would hurt.
And so he blacks out, obviously. But then the kids and everyone in the lookout see this happening, and Thorne is like, I'm going to go help them. So Thorne is heading their way to go help them.
And then Sarah wakes up while the trailer is dangling halfway off the cliff. She climbs up to Malcolm, wakes him up, and they try to plan how they're going to get out. She manages to get the power back on, but the dinos begin to push the trailer again. They find some rope in the glove compartment, so Sarah climbs up into the first trailer, throws the rope down for Malcolm, and Thorne was able to secure a rope around a large tree and connect it to the Jeep and the trailer, so to hopefully get the trailer to stay and not fall any further. He then gets into the top trailer and helps Malcolm up the rope. And at the last minute, the second trailer starts to fall further, and Sarah literally grabs Thorne by the roots of his hair to pull him up before he falls with the trailer. Yeah, I didn't think hair roots were that strong, but...
the hair does not come out of his head. She grabs... And maybe, I never, had to be
you remember,
held by the roots.
We've seen the Ringling Circus, those two people that were attached by their hair.
What?
You don't remember that?
No.
That's like a circus act where they they have their hair and they wrap it around a hook and they secure it to the hook, and then they hang from the hook and they do stuff.
Ugh.
Yeah,
it's
a thing.
Terrible. So I guess
it is a thing.
The hair roots are strong.
Yeah, I guess so.
Thorne has some Cirque du Soleil roots.
Yeah, he should go join the circus.
Go join the circus, Thorne.
Malcolm's leg is hurt again. So in the first trailer, Sarah and Thorne drug him up and start to clean and fix his leg. Back in the lookout, velociraptors begin to swarm. Levine is like, everything's fine, they can't even see us. But then the dinos notice a freaking candy wrapper of his on the ground, sniff it, look up, and stare at him right in the eyes. It's probably from those damn kids eating a quarter of the food supply.
It was actually Levine. We see him eating candy, eating candy bars or something. So It was actually his.
Okay, well, his fault.
It's not the kids. We can't blame the children.
Oh, okay. So the raptors start jumping up the lookout and are figuring out how they can get up to the top. So the kids, Levine and Eddie, start to climb up onto the roof of the lookout. They push the kids up on the roof, but then Eddie is grabbed by a raptor. He clings on, and Levine tries to hold him up, but then as he's falling to his death, he is ripped apart by raptors. We get a very dramatic no as he's falling, which honestly, would someone actually be able to yell no as they quickly fall to their dino death like that?
I'm just not sure.
Yeah, probably not.
If I was falling, I would yell, no!
No!
Would you do that if you were falling to your... I feel like I'd be like, ah! But
I'd probably just go, ah! Yeah, I don't think I would know, no! Or I'd motherfucker! Something like that,
I know.
Something like that.
Anyway.
Whatever. Levine pushes Arby up to the roof, but then Arby flails as he's climbing and accidentally kicks Levine in the face, so Levine lets go of him. Valid.
Levine is a horrible mentor.
He said, you know what?
Fuck them.
So Arby falls to the ground. The mechanics don't make a lot of sense, but it does happen. But then Levine and Kelly look down and see that Arby managed to sneak into the cage at the base of the lookout. So the raptors are shoving their little noses in, trying to get to him. They somehow managed to get the cage loose from the lookout. Why this is even a function of the structure, who's to say? And they roll him towards the jungle.
We're kidnapping him.
Wow.
Taking him hostage.
Thorne shows up in the Jeep, and he and Levine follow the raptors in the car with Sarah and Kelly following on a motorcycle. As the men are driving, if I was Kelly, I'd be like, put me in the trunk or something. I'm scared.
Kelly
I can't
wants to be with her hero, Sarah.
I'd be like, get a sidecar, and the sidecar has to have a roof because I'm not.
No,
out
they
in the
don't
open.
have that available to them.
Well, I'm not going to be exposed. As the men are driving, Levine is like, why are we even looking for the kid? He's dead already, so, like, what's the point? Wow. Thorne is like, Arby's here is because he was concerned about you, so, like, maybe you should be quiet. Also, Levine keeps calling Arby the kid and the boy, and it just feels a teeny bit racist.
Like,
also, if that kid literally was running errands for you. So,
like
you
literally
know
he was doing unpaid, probably illegal labor for you, Levine. And
try to have a little sympathy.
Like how I don't really understand how this man, I guess we can talk about it more. I just don't understand how he hired children and he worked with children and the kids seem to like him. And the way they talk about him before he goes missing, it seems like they're fond of him. But then when they get here, he is like, I hate these kids. He's
not a nice guy.
These kids can die for all I care. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, time for Raptor Nest Part 2. Malcolm radios the guys and asks Levine to describe the nest in detail. So we get a description about how they're kind of like birds, and it's described basically the same it was in the first book, except this group of raptors a little less organized and a little more malnourished. There also doesn't appear to be...
They're not two little girls in two straight lines.
They're not 12 little girls in two straight lines.
12, not two.
They're 12 really little girls scattered around, clawing at each other's hair.
Crying and killing their babies.
Yes. There are no living baby raptors, and there are large dino carcasses in the nest that the raptors couldn't have dragged there themselves. Interesting. Part of the issue while rescuing Arby is that Thorne and Levine do not have the key to the cage door because the key was stolen by a raptor in the frenzy. Okay. However, Sarah and Kelly are able to track down the raptor with the key and grab it. Where was he putting it? In his pocket? What?
Yeah, like in his mouth or something.
I guess. Thorne is able to distract the raptors and grab the entire cage. Isn't that shit heavy? He throws it into the Jeep.
And Arby's in the cage. So there's like an 11-year-old in a metal cage.
There's like 80 pounds... Probably, he's a nerd, so yeah, 80-pound 11-year-old. No, probably like a 70-pound 11-year-old.
I don't know how much.
And probably a 50-pound metal cage. Yeah,
and he like grabs the whole thing and throws it into like. First of all, he throws it in the back of the Jeep. It's not a truck. There's not like a bed. Yeah. So I'm not sure where he threw it, but he throws it in the Jeep.
He throws it. So they start to drive back to the remaining trailer, but there are some raptors tailing them. Of course, Sarah and Kelly catch up and shoot the raptor as it's literally climbing into the car. They throw Thorne the key to get Arby out, as well as a gun. Of course, at this point, the Jeep runs out of gas, and they turn around to see Sarah and Kelly are no longer behind them.
Uh-oh. So Sarah and Kelly get to the trailer, followed by raptors, of course, and they look for more weapons, because Sarah threw them her only weapon, basically. So they're back at the trailer, and Sarah's like, Malcolm, where are the weapons in this trailer? And he's like, did you know that God isn't real? And she's like, okay, but where are the guns? He's like, we shouldn't be using violence. It's like, and he's just drugged out of his mind. So Kelly is helping her look for the weapons, because Kelly's like, I'm going to be helpful and useful, like Sarah said. So, as Malcolm is rambling on about, evolution and science and life, they find some grenades filled with paralyzer gas.
Way better than a gun.
Better than a gun. And they throw it out the front door, and it knocks out the velociraptors, and they're able to get onto the bike again with Malcolm. So there are 2 grown adults, including an injured man and a child, on one regular-sized motorcycle.
Poor Kelly's probably just squished.
Kelly's like falling off the end or something, probably. So, but they're all on there, and then they escape, and they find this abandoned store where the other 3 are. So, somehow they find the store, and somehow they know that they're in there. I think the Jeep was outside. So they all are in this store now together. They determine that the helicopter will arrive in 2 hours to rescue everyone. So they have to figure out how they're getting to the shore. So Thorne is like, well, let me go see if there's any gas. There's like a shed right next to the store. So he's like, let me just go see if there's like some gas in the shed. So he walks into the shed and he hears breathing. And it's like, and he's like, oh my God. And he like looks around, but he doesn't see anything. And he's like, where's the breathing coming from? But then the power comes on suddenly, because the power was out in all these buildings. The power suddenly comes on and in the store, and it shines light outside, and he sees the silhouette of 2 dinosaurs, but they look exactly like the leaves and the chain link fence behind them. And then he watches them blend into their new surroundings when the lights come on, and they are like better than perfect chameleons. They're like doing exactly what.
That's spooky.
Like really quickly changing. And so he's like, oh my God, they're evolving. So from the store, Levine sees these dinosaurs, and he's more fascinated in the science of them. And like he's talking about the dinosaurs, and Sarah is like, can you help me with Arby, because like he's hurt and I need your help. And Levine is like, but did you see these dinosaurs out here, Sarah? He does. We do get him resenting Sarah for being so good at everything, and he is insecure, and so he calls her a little muscle-bound female, which...
That's crazy.
Okay.
I hope I can one day be described as a little muscle-bound female. That's goals right there.
So Thorne manages to get back to the store somehow, while Levine and Sarah are distracting. Oh, this is how. Levine and Sarah distract the dinosaurs by flashing the lights in the store on and off, and it like agitates their camouflage, because they're like, the dinosaurs are like, do we want to look like how we look when the lights are on? Or do we want to be like cloaked in the darkness? And they're like, what do we wear? I don't know. And so they're
it's so confusing.
They're trying to figure
like,
out.
Oh my God, can I go night and
the
day?
appropriate
Like,
dress code.
it needs to transition from day to night.
Office to party. So
Office, yeah.
So then Thorne runs back to the store while they're doing that. Then Arby is fine. They like get him, I don't know, they wrap his leg or whatever. And so then Levine is talking to Malcolm about the theory of Malcolm's from the beginning of the book. And he's like, you were right. Their behavior is like changing and da-da-da. And Malcolm is like, we can't use these dinosaurs as an example because they have scrapie. And he's talking about prions, which is the, whatever the protein in your brain
that was
causes.
prions.
I don't know what it's. Prions, whatever it is.
Whatever.
I didn't look it up, okay? He's like, Malcolm is like, they have scrapie, prions, kuru, and Levine is like, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm just like, man, I know what that is. How do you not know? You're a scientist. And Malcolm is like, oh my gosh. So he basically is like, leave me alone. Like, go away. Because he's still in pain. And he's like, laying
so
there.
Annoying.
He's like, Levine, I need you to leave me alone. So now they have 1 hour to get to the landing pad of the shore. And the Jeep has been destroyed. Oh, yes. While they were fixing Arby's leg, some dinosaurs, just like some veggie dinosaurs, I think, came up to the Jeep. And they started pushing it. And they were like, what are they doing? Because it was Dodgson's Jeep that they were using, there were eggs in it. So one of the eggs started to hatch, and the dinosaurs heard, I guess, eggs of theirs starting to hatch. So they found the eggs hatching in the car, and they destroyed the Jeep to help the babies get out. Which, fair enough. I mean, their babies were in there.
Yep.
But then they remember that the car that Thorne used the day before was electric. And this car is somewhere on the island. And they can finagle the circuit breakers to get the car to work. So Sarah is like, okay, well, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go fix the car. So she gets there. She finds the car because they knew where it was because they had access to the cameras. They know where everything is on this island now. They've been here for 24 hours. So she gets there, and there are like 50 dinosaurs surrounding the car. So she climbs up a tree, and she radios Thorne, and she's like, hey, so there are a bunch of dinosaurs surrounding the car, and I can't get in. So she tries to swing off of the branch and land on the roof of the car, but the dinosaurs charge the tree, and she lands on the ground. So then she climbs under the car, and she's like working on the circuit breakers, because luckily they're under the car. They thought they were in the car. And then she lands under the car, and she's like, oh, what's that? And Thorne is like, oh, that's a circuit breaker. You can just fix it while you're under the car. Yeah. So then she's fixing the circuit breakers when Dodgson shows up. This guy. And she obviously recognizes him because he tried to kill her. I was to say he killed her. He killed her. And so he shows up, and he's like running. And he like throws himself under the car because a T-Rex has followed him for some reason. These vengeful T-Rexes. And so he hides under the car and he's like, oh, it's you. I thought I killed you. Aren't you supposed to be dead? And she literally so calmly, like what a queen, she starts to push him out from under the car with her legs. She like grabs onto the car and is just pushing him, like kicking him out from under the car. And he's like, what are you doing? And she is just like, And so she pushes him all the way out from under the car, and the T-Rex grabs him and walks away with him in its mouth. It doesn't kill him, it's just holding him in its mouth. So Sarah's able to fix the car, and she drives to the landing pad to wait for the helicopter and let them know to sit there so that she can go and get the others from the store.
But as she's still a few minutes away, she sees the helicopter land briefly and then fly away. They are stuck on this island. So Levine is like, well, now that it's daylight, we need to leave the store anyways because the dinos that occupy this area at night have left, and the ones that occupy it during the night shift left. The day shift's coming up. So the day shift's probably about to show up soon. Kelly is on the computer looking for another mode of escape and sees on a list of island locations that there's a boathouse listed. But then the raptors come in. They are the day shift. So they're trying to keep their... That's funny. Oh, okay. So they're trying to keep the raptors out while she searches for the boathouse on the map. Levine is freaking out and yelling, and she realizes there's no time to search the map, and she has to do something. She finds a small door from where the computer cords are coming from, so they're all able to squeeze this hole in the floor, and it brings them to a sewer pipe situation.
Which I was just imagining, you know when you're at work and there's like a little circle in the floor with like a cap on it, and all the cords are going in the floor? I was like, is that what she's talking about?
That's what you're imagining.
Obviously not, because they were able to fit in there, but what human-sized hole?
Maybe in the 90s.
The cords went down to the sewer?
In the 90s, man. I don't know.
Okay.
Don't question. They were walking through the pipe, and then they reach the end and see Sarah driving by.
Wow.
So they all get in the car and drive along the river. Okay, yeah. And drive along the river until they see a sign for the boathouse. Sarah is proud of Kelly for problem solving because they talked about it when they met, and Kelly was able to figure it out and save all the people. Wow. She's a smart girl. And they find a functioning boat. Yay! Dodgson wakes up in a T-Rex nest, and the baby T-Rexes start to eat him alive. The T-Rex had brought him here to feed as live food to the babies. And actually, I remember this scene in the book, and it was so sick.
Oh my God.
He was like, I saw them tearing off my face. Like, it's nasty.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and personally, I think I could think of a few men that should happen to, but yeah.
Love is Blind.
He dies.
I can think of a few men to feed.
Oh, Love is Blind. Let's feed those men to the T-Rex babies. Yeah. So this man, he dies in a very gruesome way. On the boat, Malcolm and Sarah explain prions to Levine. That's crazy. He's a scientist. He doesn't know that. And they tell him that even though he set up like a data collector tech on the island to keep doing work while they're not on the island, the data won't matter because the dinos all have this brain disease. They talk about theories. Malcolm calls humans up plagues. Thorne tells the kids not to listen to them, that theories and concepts aren't real. Okay. But the ocean and nature are. The kids say, but aren't scientific theories still real? They mean stuff. He says, they're still just fantasies. They're not real.
No,
Have you ever seen it?
This is a direct quote.
Oh, okay. This is a direct quote. He says, they're still just fantasies. They're not real. Have you ever seen a self-esteem? Can you bring me one on a plate? How about a photon? Can you bring me one of those? And you never will, because those things don't exist, no matter how seriously people take them. You feel the way the boat moves? That's the sea. That's real. You smell the salt in the air. You feel the sunlight on your skin. That's all real. You see all of us together? That's real. Life is wonderful. It's a gift to be alive, to see the sun and breathe the air. There isn't really anything else. End quote. Interesting anti-science ending to this science fiction miniseries. The end. That's the end of the book.
We don't get to find out if they landed or if they got home safe or what the kids' parents thought about them being gone on a dinosaur island for several days.
It was probably chill.
We just get to see the man telling kids that science isn't real. So yeah, the end. So, at one point near the beginning of the book, Malcolm is talking about how people assume the dinosaurs look and act a certain way, and we hear about like his ideas about the accuracy of like the depiction of dinosaurs, which I just think is, I've been thinking about this since the first book, even when they were sort of talking about how now they're seeing how dinosaurs acted, because like these dinosaurs were created from old dino DNA from amber.
Dino DNA.
And also mixed with a bunch of different reptile DNAs. And they live in,
Frog.
On an island in Costa Rica, like, that was at first controlled, and obviously now it's not. But I just think it's interesting that they sort of treat these dinosaurs like they're authentic, and they're seeing dinosaurs as they were during whatever the Jurassic Cretaceous periods. Like, I just kind of am like, and even like the plot of this book starting with Malcolm's like evolutionary theory, I'm just like, how these aren't like authentic dinosaurs that are the same as the original dinosaurs that lived on Earth. You're not actually seeing necessarily how a dinosaur would have reacted back then, because like you're like that's not what you're seeing. So I just think that's kind of interesting that that's how they treat the dinosaurs in these books, as like a representation of how dinosaurs acted back then,
Yeah, and that's like you said, they're full of different DNA. They are not going to look the same. They're not going to act the same. So you really could never prove any of these theories that they're always trying to prove, because it would just be like you're proving it for a new species. It's not
Yeah, it's not really like what a velociraptor was like back when velociraptors were around. Like, I think, and then like when Malcolm like gets frustrated because he's like, people think the dinosaurs look like this, but I know they looked like this. And
it's like, well, your dinosaur was part African bullfrog, so
yeah.
No.
They're not like real dinosaurs from a long time ago.
Yeah.
They are not going to look the same as they did back then, because they're not just dinosaur. So I just think it's interesting that like that's how they're sort of treated, unquestionably, in these books.
Yeah, it's like you could probably just, and like you could learn more about dinosaurs through bones versus something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is truly just like a park, like a theme park.
Yeah,
they just created animals for this theme park. And that's the point.
Yeah.
And
just
that's the point of the later movies when they create. Yeah, and they create those Indominus Rexes.
Yeah.
That wasn't real.
Yeah.
Anyway. I just thought that was a little interesting thing.
That is interesting.
And then, I mean, I don't know that it's a big deal, but the anti-science at the end, I just thought was kind of funny.
I think that's interesting because it's like, I'm looking back at his quote, and it's like, he's like, you see how the sunlight feels on your skin? And it's like, well, there are scientific theories to prove that the sun burns your skin. Does that mean that it's not real just because there's like,
it's not real.
Like, we know
also,
that it happens.
Photons are real. Like, atoms are real. Are you going to say, I mean, they wouldn't necessarily, if people weren't around to call them that, they would still exist because that's what everything is made of.
Yeah.
Just because if they didn't have a name, they would still be around. Self-esteem is still something that people have, even if you can't name it. Just because if there wasn't anyone to name these things, they would still exist.
And he says, breathe the air. It's like, okay, well, we know what the air is made up of because of scientific experiments and theories.
But those aren't real.
But those aren't real.
Air.
It's just,
unquestionably, there's only air.
There's only air. There's anything else. It's like, well, there is, but you're just, okay. I think Mans is just happy he's not dead, and he's got a new lease on life.
Having an existential crisis.
It's like, oh my gosh, but put your hands in the sand. Go for a swim. It's like, okay, that's fair. You did almost die. So, you know what? Do that.
His coworker did die.
And his coworker did die.
No one was really sad about that. We forgot about Eddie by the end of the book.
Yeah, wait, did we say how he died?
Yeah, and you read out loud how he died. He was eaten by a velociraptor.
Oh.
He fell off the lookout.
Yeah.
And was eaten by a velociraptor.
I forgot. I got distracted by Arby. Okay.
By Arby being kidnapped.
Yeah, his coworker said. Yeah, so
his coworker died.
He's going through it. He needs to just go on vacation, I think.
He needs to go to a beach that's not this one.
He needs to go touch the sand, touch the grass.
Yeah, and never look at a lizard again, probably. And then, just another little aside, I thought that it was interesting that in both of these books, there's sort of like an underlying and occasionally overt talk among the characters in the book, or just in the text of the book, about like quote-unquote superstitious locals, or like a superstitious indigenous person trope of like the superstitious locals, whatever, believe that the dinosaur things happening are like spirits or something akin to that, and they like know that there's something bad happening and they are associating it with like spirits. And there's that in the first book. We get it pretty obviously in the first book when the boy is her, and then the guy that works there is like, oh, this is a demon,
Right.
Leave him alone. I just think, like, I don't know what to really make of that, but I just think it's interesting. And there's some in this book on page like 103, I think. He kind of has like a superstitious locals moment, and I just think that that's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting that that's included, because we know that it's not that. So it's like, why is that even included? And it's like, it makes sense that they're describing it that way, because they have no other way to describe it.
They don't know that dinosaurs, are being created by white people on an island that doesn't belong to them, next to the Costa Rican mainland. So yeah, they don't know that.
So it makes sense why they think that. I just think it's interesting that it's included, because we know that that's not true.
Yeah, and I don't know. It seems like Michael Crichton's trying to be like, those locals think it's a spirit. And it's like, okay, well, their government is burning the corpses, so
what are they supposed
they don't
to
really
think?
have any idea, because it's being like hidden from them.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought that was interesting.
That's interesting, yeah.
And then one other thing before we start talking about the movie.
Okay.
One other thing, well, this is sort of about the movie, is just like, I think it's interesting that in both of these books and then in these movies, in the book, there's a lot of dinosaurs just staring at people and standing very still.
Yeah.
And staring at them, or people sensing that there's a dinosaur around them and feeling watched, but you know, something doesn't happen at that moment, or something happens very slowly. It's in both of the books, and I think that that's scary.
Those are always the scariest,
Yeah, those are scarier than hearing a T-Rex walking
run
towards
after
you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it happened, and I think that that's part of the thriller, just of his writing in general, is just that he has that, like, scary moments like that in a lot of his books, and I think it could have been scary in the movies to have like a scene or two where something like that is happening, or they're making like, you know, there are scenes where they make eye contact with dinosaurs, but then something happens either at that moment or right after that moment with the dinosaur, or like with the T-Rex. Anytime they make eye contact with the T-Rex in the movies, it opens its mouth and does the T-Rex roar.
Yeah, it's like, let's just be silent and scary.
Like, that's scary, to make eye contact with the dinosaur and have it just kind of stare at you.
Yeah, because that's like what
to think
birds
you're
do,
hearing
so it makes
breathing.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that could have been fun for the movie. And now let's talk about this absolutely atrocious movie.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was so bad.
So bad. So I want to hear your opinion, because I just read this book and I just finished it like last week, and then I watched the movie. But you read this book. When did you read this book?
Oh gosh, like 2 years ago.
Okay, so what did you think of the movie watching it after you hadn't read the book for a while?
I mean, I thought it was still just like a bad movie in general.
Yeah.
I'm going back to our text messages. Like, I was so mad at myself for like not taking notes, But like as I was watching it, I was like, oh, let me remember that. And then I was like, oh, now I can't remember them.
But I was like, there's no point.
Something that I think is crazy is that Malcolm's like, guys, we can't go back to this island. We cannot. Like, it's so bad. Like, they're like, I almost lost my leg. Like, all my friends died. Like, we cannot go back there. And everyone's like, okay, man, it's gonna be okay. Calm down. Like, no one's listening to him. Yeah. Him and Sarah are actually dating in the movie. And he's like, why are you here? I told you not to come here. And she's like, oh, just relax. It's going to be okay. And, like, they have this all, like, nonchalant attitude. And then, like, the first time they see a carnivorous dinosaur, they're like, oh, my God, we had no idea. And it's like, bro, he was telling you this whole time. You didn't think it was just going to be beautiful brachiosauruses and brontosauruses and stegosauruses. No. You got all the meat eaters, too. Are you stupid? And that just pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because I was like, hello, if you just listened, none of this would have happened. But okay. I thought that it was interesting to include that, like, photographer, videographer in the movie. How he was going to document everything. Like, I thought that was weird. I thought it was weird to include the hunting aspect of how that guy just wanted to have a T-Rex head on his wall.
So for people who haven't seen this movie, first of all, would not recommend. Yeah. There's almost no similarities between the book.
The only similarities are that there's Sarah Harding and Malcolm. Those are the only similarities.
And there is a guy named Eddie.
Oh, okay. And there's a 2-trailer situation.
There is a 2-trailer situation
that falls off the cliff.
They do have to fix the dino leg. They do fix the dino leg.
They fix the dino leg. And that's about it.
Let me see. I feel like I wrote down one.
There's a kid, but it's not one of these kids. It's Malcolm's kid.
Yeah, well, so what it is also. Yeah, Malcolm. Okay. So briefly, what happens in this movie is Malcolm is, like, first of all, famous. He's, like, on the subway in New York City for some reason. He's on the subway. Yeah, I thought
that was funny.
And people are like, whoa, that's the scientist. And I'm like, okay, if I saw... The only scientist that I think I would recognize on a subway would be, like, Anthony Fauci.
Bill Nye.
Bill Nye. But he's, like, a TV personality.
I thought that, too. But then I put myself in this situation where they imply that, like, the year that he's been back, he's been on the news saying, guys, there are dinosaurs. And he's like, I am telling... Like, if that was the case, I would also know who he was. Because if there's a guy on CNN claiming that dinosaurs are real, I'm going to hear about it. So I thought that at first, but then I was like, oh, no, this actually makes sense that everyone knows who he is.
Yeah, so everyone recognizes him because he's on the news being like, there's a secret conspiracy of dinosaurs on the island. Yeah. And so then he's in New York to visit Hammond, who is, I guess, dying. I remembered him being more ill. But he really isn't that sick. Yeah, I thought he died. But they're acting like he's dying. I don't know.
He's just old.
And so we see the kids from the first movie for a second. And they're like, oh my God, Malcolm, hi. And he's like, oh my God. And then Hammond gives away, like, everything that happens in the first, like, quarter of this book is Hammond tells Malcolm in about 2 minutes. He's like, oh, Site B is a thing, and I'm sending I'm sending an expedition down there to see what's going on, because there's some dinosaurs down there. And he's like, oh, I'm sending this person, and then a woman who's a paleontologist, and you don't need to know about her. And then Malcolm's like, well, why didn't you tell me her name? And he's like, well, just so you know, she asked me to go, da-da-da-da, and it's Sarah, and it's his girlfriend, it's Julianne Moore. She's there. And she's his girlfriend, and she has gone down to the island because apparently she's a paleontologist in this movie, and she wants to study the connection between predators I don't know. So
my gosh, that also really, like, made me laugh so hard because at one point he was like, you don't understand how dangerous it is, and she said, I study predators in Africa for a living. Trust me, I get this. And it's
but you're a paleontologist.
Nope. No, I think she's still, like, a zoologist.
No, he calls her Hammond says a woman paleontologist. He's talking about her.
She still says that at one point where she studies. Yeah, so I don't know what she does. But she does she's like, I study lions in Africa. I got this. And it's like, what?
The dinosaur and the lion are just not quite the same.
Yeah, that I was laughing so hard. I was like, you fool.
Also, Malcolm was fired from Berkeley because of going on TV. Hammond tells him basically everything, and he's like, oh, I need you to go down to this island with the rest of my team, who's already there. Or no, not Sarah's the only one that's there, and the rest of the team is waiting for Malcolm, basically. So Malcolm's like, well, I guess he's like, I have to go to the island to go rescue Sarah. He's like, that's why I've got to go. And then his daughter, Malcolm has a daughter. So the thing is in the first movie, he does reference having children.
He's got 5 kids.
He does say, oh yeah, he say he has 5 kids? Yeah, I guess he does.
So I think it's like 5 or 6.
And
yeah.
he says,
kids
I'm always looking for the next ex Mrs. Malcolm or whatever, because he's been divorced or something like a million times. So he does have children. And then we see Kelly is there. She is apparently Malcolm's daughter.
I didn't know her name was also Kelly.
No, her name, that's the only child similarity between the book and the movie, is that her name is Kelly.
Girl named Kelly.
She...
And instead of being a nerd, she does gymnastics.
She does gymnastics. Importantly, she does gymnastics.
This will come back later.
This will be relevant later.
Oh my god.
She sneaks, she sneaks onto the island, whatever. They also bring her everywhere, which I think is just an interesting choice, because even when they're, relatively safe, they're bringing her everywhere to, dangerous situations. And I'm just like, I don't, why don't you want to stay in the trailer with her? She is your daughter, and she keeps being that Kelly is literally you're an absent father, and I wish you were a better dad.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Vince Vaughn is in this movie, which I thought was bizarre.
Yeah. He's the videographer.
Oh, Eddie is there. I think Eddie is supposed to be Thorn in this movie, except that Eddie dies by
he's
T-Rex
the tech guy.
When he has driven the Jeep around the tree with the rope. There's a 10-minute scene of him fiddling with the ropes, because the trailer keeps falling, and then the Jeep keeps falling, and the rope comes undone from the tree, and he has to go back and fix it, and it's a long scene, and then he gets in the Jeep and tries to drive, and then a T-Rex grabs him up from the Jeep and eats him. And you see him get pulled in half. Actually, what happens is a T-Rex grabs him, and then the other T-Rex grabs him, and they pull him in half. And that is something that's in the book and the movie that Thomas kind of pointed out as why are these T-Rexes so vengeful? If they received their baby, wouldn't they just be okay, now I have the baby?
They said why in the movie. They were now they've perceived this as our change of territory, so blah blah, they gotta get, I don't remember. They said why. I don't care.
It was dumb. Whatever. I was like, what? And then they have... So, and then at the same time, there's evil people on the island who are trying to make a gladiator coliseum of dinosaurs or something.
It's Hammond's nephew.
Yes, who wants to take over InGen.
Who I think is supposed to, it's like the Dodgson, but he's of this movie.
Yeah, and so, and
he's
they're
just trying to steal the dinos.
And there's a million of them. It's not 3 guys. It's 40 guys. They're there. And scoping out
they
the
got
island.
Weapons.
They got weapons. They've got a camp. It's really insane. And then near the end of the movie,
led by
a bald, crazed man who wants to hunt a T-Rex.
What's it called? A poacher.
Poacher.
They're led by a bald, crazy poacher who wants a male T-Rex.
Oh, he does want a male T-Rex. He does.
He said, "I don't want no female. I want a male."
And then near the end of the movie, for some reason, dinosaurs have stowed away on a boat, and then the boat lands in San Diego.
They did not go in 2 straight lines. They did not go in 2 straight lines.
The boat lands in San Diego, and then the T-Rex gets out of the boat and is running through people's backyards.
And it ate the dog.
It ate a dog. Ugh, it ate a dog.
It ate the dog.
The dog.
And people are going berserk.
And I was also okay, I get that it would be really, really, really scary to see. That would be bizarre and scary. But it is not, the T-Rex is big, okay? It is big. It's not Godzilla, though. It's not Godzilla-sized. It is big, but it's about as big as, the largest tree you can think of. It's not, it's actually not even as big as the largest tree.
A live oak tree.
Yeah, it's not even.
Because a redwood.
It's not
as big as a redwood.
That's what I was going to say.
It's a live oak.
It's not as big as a redwood. Yeah, it is a live oak. Or a big, a magnolia tree. Think about a tall magnolia tree. That's the size of the T-Rex, okay? So it's not going to step on your house. I mean, it can, but it's not going to crush it Godzilla.
It's not going to step on your house, but it's going to step on your car.
It's gonna step on your
For
car.
size.
So get out of your car. But if you're calm, you could go into a building.
Just stay in your house.
People were like running out of buildings, and I was like, if you stay silent and quiet and low in the building, I think that you are fine. I think that you'll be okay. Or even like if you're in your car, I don't know, like just stop driving. Don't like get into a bunch of car accidents. Like, just stop.
Yeah,
just
they were,
everyone
like,
needs to stop and calmly get out. It's not, Godzilla is not here to grab you up and step all over your house and spray radioactive spit all over your town. Like, the dinosaur, it's one T-Rex just, like, running around. This is a livable, like you could live through this situation. This is a manageable
I think
disaster.
The T-Rex only ate the dog and one civilian. But there were probably about 55 civilian casualties from the stupidity.
Probably more. Like, everyone was getting
they were just driving. Everyone was crashing into each other, crashing into a Blockbuster, probably hurting some folks. Yeah, but the T-Rex itself killed one person and a dog.
And the reason that the T-Rex killed the dog is because these terrible dog owners leave their dog outside overnight.
Right? Chained outside at night.
Chained outside. Excuse me.
Crazy.
No. So if they had been less terrible dog owners, then,
that would not have happened. And only the one guy in Blockbuster would have died.
I also thought it was funny that there was a little boy who sees the T-Rex in his backyard. And he goes to wake up his parents, and he's like, there's a T-Rex in the backyard. And for some reason, instead of being like, okay, Jimmy, like, let's go back to bed, tee-hee-hee, the parents start to yell at each other about...
No, they need to get divorced.
The husband is like, this is your fault that he's doing this because... Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, if you weren't such an absent father... And he's like, well, someone has to work. And it's like, jeez. And they're bickering and they...
What the heck?
They both get up to put the kid to bed. And then he's like, I swear there's a dinosaur outside. And his dad is like, shut up, Jimmy. And then he turns around and there's a dinosaur. And he's like, ah! I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like if y'all didn't get divorced after that, I don't know.
God.
Y'all should.
It's just insane. I would not be like, I would not turn to my spouse and be like, this is your fault that he thinks there's a dinosaur outside because you. No, I can't.
Like that's like a lot of like you see that in movies and stuff. I'm like, damn. I'm like, I cannot imagine hating my spouse that much.
I know.
That's
Why
crazy.
do you guys hate each other? This isn't even about that. Just be like, okay, Jimmy, let's go back to bed. Why do you both have to wake up and scream at each other? And as you're putting your kid to bed,
that's not good for Jimmy.
No, that's not going to make your kid calm and want to go to bed.
And Jimmy just lost his dog,
and
so
Jimmy,
he's really going to need that support.
He's grieving. Okay, he looked outside, and the dog's leash was hanging out of the dinosaur's mouth, and it was attached to the doghouse. This kid is traumatized, and now you're screaming at each other.
Yeah, this poor kid.
Oh my god. And then at the end, Sarah and Malcolm were able to lure the T-Rex back onto the boat because the baby T-Rex was there and they were able to run. They were holding the T-Rex.
After Hammond. Oh, and then Hammond. Oh yeah, they just pick up that baby T-Rex like it's nothing. I know that thing's 100 pounds. Carrying that thing around. That thing probably weighs more than 100 pounds. And they're like in a convertible, like driving around to get the T-Rex to follow them. And then they get it back on the boat. And then Hammond's nephew's eaten by the baby.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's so... And then they're like... The T-Rex goes into like the... Whatever, the brig of the ship. I don't know. Like there's like a big downstairs of the ship. And they're like slowly closing the door on the T-Rex. And the T-Rex is like... And they're like trying to shoot it. And it's just like... Oh my God. Like what? What? And then, we missed something really important, was when they were still on the island, velociraptors are chasing them, and Kelly hops onto, does a little gymnastics move, where she gets onto a bar, and she flings herself around a bunch of times, and kills a velociraptor by kicking it. She kicks it really hard, and it dies.
And it's like she did so many rotations, so many flips. It's like that thing would have lunged and eaten her in the amount of time that she had to do her whole routine.
She says,
funny.
She says, like, what does she say? She says,
stay away from my dad!
Yeah, she like yells something at the velociraptor, and then she spins around on the bar for 20 seconds. The velociraptor's staring at her, and then she kicks it in the face, and it dies.
And then after, Malcolm's like, and they kicked you off the team?
Yeah, because at the
and
beginning of the movie, we find out that she
chased.
was kicked off of the gymnastics team or whatever. And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
But apparently, and I don't know how true this is, because it was like one of the guys that worked with Steven Spielberg on the movie was on a podcast, I guess, and he said that this was one of the who was talking about this scene. And so I don't know if, how true this is, but I was reading that Steven Spielberg had a couple of scenes, and Thomas said this to me also. I don't know if we were looking at the same thing, but apparently he had a couple of scenes in his mind that he was like, we've got to make this happen in the movie. So we've got to like figure out what can happen to lead up to the scene that I've envisioned for this movie.
And this girl
and one of them was the girl around, like Kelly, doing the flips around the bar and killing the velociraptor with her little legs. And
that's crazy.
So he was like, how can we... He told the writer, like, I need you to
make this happen, boys.
Yeah, he was like, I need you to incorporate this in the movie. And the writer did not write it into the movie. And they were about to film, and Steven was like, oh, you missed this scene in the movie. And the writer was like, yeah.
Oh, I did?
The writer was like, I'm actually not going to write that into the movie because people are going to laugh. And Steven was like, you're right. And then they filmed it. Anyway. It's just, I'm like, crazy. That scene was so insane. That was the most ridiculous thing ever. She's like, watch this. And the velociraptor was just like, huh? Like, what's going
Gabby
on?
Douglas just squirming. Okay.
Just boots him in the
Congratulations. So stupid.
Oh my God.
And another thing we missed was that, okay, and this is also something I have a question about. Mm-hmm. Because, so on the ship that we know of, there was a T-Rex in the enclosure and then the baby T-Rex. Mm-hmm. How did every single crew member die if the T-Rex and the baby T-Rex were closed in that thing? How did they all get eaten? Are we supposed to assume that velociraptors snuck on, like in the first book? That's what I thought, but then we never dealt with that. So I don't know. Because all the crew members died. And the ship came into the port going 55 miles an hour. It was so stupid. Everyone in the control room was like, ship, you're coming in a little too hot. Why don't you slow down? And it was still just coming in. They were all staring at it, and they all got ran over. And it's like, are you guys stupid? It was the dumbest thing. Nobody screamed. Nobody ran. Nobody ran except Hammond's cousin. It's like, he's like, you're coming into port a little too hot. Why don't you slow it down for us? It's like, and they're like 2 feet away. Like, why don't you slow down? Like, dude, get out of the way.
What was that boat?
I don't know.
Why were there dinosaurs on the boat? Were they? It was kind of like in Jurassic World 2, where they were bringing them to investors to try and get them to fund the park. Right, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
This movie is actually sort of is like Jurassic World 2.
A little, yeah.
And it's also sort of like, you know what, how I respect the Jurassic World movies a little bit more than these last 2 Jurassic Park movies, because they did grab things from the book. In the most recent, actually maybe it's just for Rebirth, the new one, there are evil guys on a boat. They're headed towards Dinosaur Island or whatever, and they do actually try and push some of the family that's there, like the family of 3 or 4. They do try and the bad guy tries to push the teenage girl off of the boat.
Damn.
And like kill her. So that does happen. There are things from the book that happen in other movies. Nothing from the book happens in this movie.
There are a few things from the first book that happen in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Example.
Like the boat, I guess.
We have someone being eaten by the compies. That was Hammond in the first book. Now it's this random guy in this movie. We have the dinosaur sticking its face through the waterfall. That happens in this movie. Yeah.
I don't even remember.
And it starts licking Julianne Moore.
And that's what happens in the first book, because the dinosaur wraps its tongue around Timmy.
Yes, but this time it's licking Julianne Moore.
Yes.
There's that one. And then, I guess the dinosaur's on the boat. So there are some scenes from the first book in this movie, but it's just not like the text at all. It's not like the source text.
And you know what? I don't feel bad for Michael Crichton ever, but if I were him, I would be a little bit mad. And I'm sure he had, rights to the movie. I'm sure he had a say in the movie. But I would be mad because if I'm not a person that writes sequels to my books, and then I write this sequel that's actually pretty good,
and then you just fucking shred it and don't even read it.
Don't use it for anything.
I'd be pissed.
Like, you basically just use some of the names from the book.
Yeah.
And some of the locations and some tiny little pieces. I would be mad because, honestly, this movie could have been really good.
Because this book is really good.
The book is good. And actually, when I read the book, I was like, I'm not actually sure that I think that this book is better than Jurassic Park. When I read this book the first time, I was like, oh, this is better than Jurassic Park. But now that I've read both of these books in a month, I was like, I don't know if I think this is better. But it is good. And they could have done it like they did Jurassic Park, the movie, where they took a lot of things that happened in the book and they, had to make the timeline a little bit different. They couldn't have everything because Michael Crichton books do kind of bounce all over the place with characters and scenes, and they're doing a lot of things. You can't have all of that in a movie. Like, the movie would be 3 hours long. You can't have all that.
Yeah.
But they took what was in that book and they made it fit into a movie. They didn't take anything in this book. If they had done that with this book, it could have been like a Jurassic Park level movie. But
yeah,
they didn't.
They just decided that they wanted a weird poaching element. They wanted to have more investors coming and wanting to make a park again.
They wanted a coliseum for dinosaurs to fight each other to the death or something.
He wanted so many things from this movie, and then it just was too much. And it's like, maybe if you just picked one of those, I don't know. Yeah. It
was so bad. And Thomas was saying that it could have been that they kind of used this movie to gauge, like, what they could do, because they were like, obviously Steven Spielberg was like, oh, this could be like a franchise and we could like make a lot of money with this.
Yeah.
So Thomas was like, it could have been that this was sort of like an experiment to see what they could do in this sort of movie franchise and see what audiences would respond to and what they wouldn't respond to. This movie was so bad. I Googled the reception for this movie after watching it, and it seemed like people were really excited for it and kind of liked it at the time. But if I had seen Jurassic Park...
They were hungry for dinosaurs, and they got more dinosaurs.
I know. If I had seen Jurassic Park, and then like 3 years later, what is this? The Lost World... I would be like, what the hell was that? And there were CGI dinosaurs in this one.
Oh my god, yeah. The dinosaurs, they weren't the puppets
bad.
Like they were in the
there
first
were
one.
Like the
they
little
just
ones.
Looked bad.
And at the beginning of the movie, we do get the scene from the beginning
of
the
that
first
one too.
book
Yeah.
With the rich family and the little girl on the beach, and the little girl gets bitten by the compies.
Another example of a couple that needs to get divorced.
Truly. They were
She was like, honey, do you have to go play in the woods? Like, can you stay on the beach where we can see you? And her husband said,
no, let her do it alone.
Let her be. And then she got bit by compies.
And she was screaming, and they were like, what's that sound?
Yeah, so another couple that needs to get divorced or come together and support their child in the most traumatizing thing that's ever happened to her.
Getting bitten by little compy dinosaurs. Like,
yes.
Oh my god. And also, the thing with this is if they had followed the book, then those little compies would have had Kuru, and then she would have had Kuru.
And she probably would have died,
been
but she lived.
Extra upsetting for her. Yeah, she was fine.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that movie... was so, like, I remembered it being bad, but this was like on another level, because I was like, oh, why was this book written then? If it was written for this purpose, then it wasn't used.
And like, obviously, as we were talking about the book, we laughed at a lot of things, but it's a really good book. It's really scary. It's a really good book. It's really scary. It's really creepy. And it's one of my favorites of his, and so the movie just sucks.
The movie is bad. The book is good. It is a good book. I'm not sure how, because I read this book around this same time last year, and I think if you are going to reread this book, you probably need to have a little bit more space in between a reread than just like 1 year, because I was kind of like, okay, especially because I just read Jurassic Park, so I think I'm a little bit like out. I'm like, okay, I hear you. All this evolution, men talking about evolution, whatever. Yeah. But it is a good book. It is good. I don't know that it's better than Jurassic Park. I do, I did appreciate how, and we kind of talked about this in the Jurassic Park episode with Sarah Harding, obviously hot and helpful queen.
So hot, so helpful.
And this is the first Michael Crichton book that I read last year when I did my little like binge reading of a lot of his books. And so I read her and I was like, oh, is this how his female characters are going to be written? Because actually, like, it is annoying, I guess, in some, like, she does do, and we talked about this, I think, throughout this Into the Crichton-verse series, but she does say after, like, rescuing Malcolm, she's like, oh, I'm still a little dainty female lady or whatever. But she, she's basically one of the only competent people in this entire book. And so I was like, oh, is this how he's going to write his female characters? Like, that's great. But no, it's not. No, it's not.
It is not.
But she's good. Kelly is good. Kelly is learning, and, like, they do talk about, like, sexism. There's only racism talk in the one part. No one's there to hype up RB, which is too bad. But, the women in this book, the woman and the one girl, there's only two female characters in this book, but, they are pretty competent. So that is good.
Yes.
We can appreciate that. In the movie, however, Sarah Harding is just falling all over the place, and she's dumb.
No, she is the
She needs to be rescued in the trailer scene. She is rescued. It's just a whole... So, in the movie, it does not make her useful. So, which, again, they had a bunch of material to work with, and they refused to use it. So, what can we say? Steven. Mr. Spielberg.
Steven. On a scale of 1 to 10 little muscle-bound females, how would you rate this book?
I think maybe like 6.5 little muscle-bound.
Really? That low?
Mm-hmm. That's still pretty high.
Okay. That's low.
It's higher than a lot of his books that I
What'd you rate Jurassic Park?
I think like a 7 or 7.5.
I think I rated it...
We rated it the same.
We did, so 7.5.
Yeah.
I'm going to rate Lost World an 8.5.
Oh, wow. That's pretty high.
8.5 little muscle-bound females.
Oh, my God. I think I just thought Jurassic Park was a little scarier, and I like something that's a little scarier. So I think that is ultimately why I like it a little bit more.
Fair enough.
But this was a good book. Would definitely recommend if you haven't read it.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Don't watch the movie, though.
Don't watch the movie.
It's just a waste of time.
Oh my God, it's so long too.
It is so, it goes on forever.
It's over 2 hours.
Oh my God, it goes on forever.
It's horrible.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to our Into the Crichton-verse series. If you have not heard all 5 episodes, we highly recommend going back and listening to us yap about the big Michael Crichton himself. We'll probably get back into talking about his books a little bit more later. I know that I want to talk about Sphere and possibly Andromeda Strain, but I haven't read Andromeda Strain, and Cassie hasn't read Sphere.
Oh, I'll talk to you about it. Oh, we could just do it so where we just tell each other.
That's true, but I feel like it's fun to dissect them.
Well, I guess so. Whatever.
We can talk about it. But so, we'll probably talk about whether it's in this longer format or in shorter format. We will be talking about Michael Crichton in the future. We can guarantee that. So you won't miss the big guy.
Guarantee that.
But we will have also just more Science Fiction Friday episodes in the future. So if you have any science fiction book recommendations that you would like to hear us talk about, please let us know. We are open to suggestions. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at A Book for My Sister podcast. This is Cassie's birthday month. Woohoo! So we'll be talking about some of her faves over the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that, guys. Wish Cassie a happy birthday. Keep on yapping and reading. Until then. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. I'm going to just sip my coffee. Oh my God.
I needed to do was choke on my coffee. Okay.